Okay, I do believe that we may be live, Baloo. Welcome back, sir. How are you?
Always a pleasure. I'm doing all right. I mean, the market's slow, the market's boring. I'm trying to, provide value where I can, but we're very much so in a holding pattern right now. So I don't know. I guess it's kind of nice to chill a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we're going to have a look at the charts today. Have a bit of a chat on the psychology around what we're doing. I know from personal experience over the last couple of weeks, it's a roller coaster ride for many of you. So look, we'll give you our thoughts how we're playing this based on the TA and on the fundamentals. So on that note, Baloo, should we jump straight into a chart and then we'll get
Yeah.
into the warm fuzzies after that.
Yeah, sure. All right. Okay, so yeah, we got Bitcoin on the daily here. This is not new. We've been looking at this higher high, higher low structure that did resolve to the downside as we started making those lows, and now we're in this area. So we're trying to determine support. We're trying to determine strength. So if I go over to the 4 hour, we have this transition here where we were in a downtrend. So we were trending to the downside. We then began trading sideways. So that sideways trading environment is where you want to start to apply the Wyckoff method, interpret the different signals. I think we have our seller's climax, our automatic rally, and our secondary test, giving us the width of the range, completing phase A. Once you have phase A completed, you basically just have a trading range. And the trading range, you need to see how the price action behaves within that trading range. If it typically respects the range, that is characteristics of accumulation, respecting of the range with a consolidation of the supply or a diminishing of the supply, less volume. And if it becomes volatile and disrespects the range very much in phase B, then we can start to lean into thinking that this might be a redistribution. So, the two outcomes as to what that may look like if it were to play out as an accumulation, maybe we come down, test the lower end of the range, test it again, maybe a little bit of a dip down below, and then get a break above resistance, and a tick to the upside would be some characteristics of accumulation. Whereas if we start to, get some signs of weakness, some up thrust rallies, and some just volatility and confusion in the market, all with increasing supply, then I would say that that's likely a redistribution, and that we would probably want to continue down to the lower support levels. However, I think if we were to grind down without a swing high at this point, if we zoom back out, there's not a lot of fuel in the tank. Leverage really kind of dictates the severity of the moves in this market right now. So funding rate, or no, sorry, not the funding rate, the open interest in the leveraged markets is quite low. So, we're on our swing low right now. So if we were to continue lower, I think it would just be a grind. It wouldn't be just this capitulation event. So it's kind of unlikely to me for us to get some sort of large move to the downside before getting some sort of hope, some sort of recovery, some sort of signal to the market to add leverage, go long, and prepare for the face melting move to get that bull trap effectively, recharge the open interest, and get the actual fuel to the downside. So right now, I think we're quite stable in this area. We're going to have to just wait and see. We just printed and completed phase A. So it's a no trade scenario. If you're a day trader or somebody who's on the smaller time frames, you can play this range, because there is a bit of a range here. I mean, we've got a 25% range, basically an 8,000% spread. So if you know what you're doing and you're playing with leverage, you can capitalize on that. But for me, we're range bound. There's a lot of uncertainty. So I'm not, I don't feel like there's enough juice to really get a good short in, and there's no confirmation for me to get a long in right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I have been. I think around last year, I have been trading that range with a decent amount of success. But yeah, Look, it's I got to be honest. I've been slightly sort of stressed on where it's at, and trying to figure out my emotions and looking at the emotions of others at the moment. I think it's quite an interesting thing to maybe touch on here. Um, Look, what for me, being in this market for what is it, six years now. There's always that learning you take from that, where when everyone's throwing in the towel, crypto's over, I'm done. That's where it surprises you and heads in the opposite direction. My gut feeling tells me where a lot of people actually seem to think we're there, that capitulation event. I'm not quite sure we are. I hate to say it, but I do feel that that slow grind down might actually be what we've got for a little bit here. What are your thoughts around the sort of psychology of the market at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I've been looking a lot at the DeFi summer, and I kind of want to zoom back there and just make some comparisons. So let's go back. Let's take a look at the DeFi summer of 2020 and go to the shakeout event there, because here's the thing, like, everybody's looking at the Bitcoin distribution that played out, and it took 4 months for the distribution to play out. And it played out on a daily time frame. And now everybody is looking at the reaccumulation down here on the hourly time frame. So you found a distribution on the daily, and now you're trying to find a recovery and a reversal on the hourly or the 4 hour. And that's kind of what a lot of people are falling into the trap right now in. If I go to this time frame in the smaller time frames, let's go down to the hourly in this area. I'll probably lose my place, but just bear with me. Yeah, let me go back here. Yeah, so on the hourly, you got some sort of reaccumulation structure in the lower end here. And this is what a lot of people are looking at. Now, this reaccumulation structure broke bullish and went up, but on the daily time frame, it just created a larger structure. So I really think patience is the key right now. And I think that, there's a lot of bullish fundamentals that can probably drive us higher to a reversal to the upside. I just don't think that it's there's going to be fake outs. And if we do head to the downside, I do believe that we need to head to the upside first so that people can get back into leveraged positions and expose their portfolios to liquidations. I think that we do have to kind of just remain in stasis for a while so that that confidence can come back, and then we could get our bearish retest for a lower high. That lower high could break out to a higher high. We don't know. It's a wait and see, proceed with caution. If you're unsure and you're unclear, maybe sit in cash. It's kind of a hard market to give financial advice on. I know we don't technically go out and give financial advice, but for those new participants that are wondering what to do, there's a reason that the market is so divided, and there's a reason that nobody has clear answers, because the market isn't providing any clarity. So if you want the clearest, easiest path, I think you're right. Expect downside, because we're in a downtrend. So trying to work against the trend can be a lot harder than just accepting the trend. So if your bias is now down, are you sitting in cash? Are you covering short? What are you doing to kind of capitalize on that? I'm looking for signs of a reversal, but if I'm trading purely on the technicals, we're in a lower high, lower low structure. You need to play with the trend, and the trend is down. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, you're talking about people who are new to the space. I had my crypto meetup last night. It's fascinating to sort of hear the thoughts of people that have been in the market for different periods of time. And, look, the theme from the people that have been around for a while is this is a wonderful opportunity to really understand why you're actually in the crypto space. What is this for you? There couldn't be a better time to understand that, because Look, if you're taking a position now, or you're already in one, and maybe you're down 25%, or possibly 50% if you had bought the top. But look, understanding the fundamentals of Bitcoin at this point is just crucial to your mental stability. I had a bit of a rant video a week or two ago about don't sell your coins to the institutions. I still firmly believe that, if you're in Bitcoin and Ethereum, zooming out and looking at that longer term time frame here is also a very good idea. It is an upward trajectory for over a decade now. It's the best performing asset in human history. But you run that danger of jumping in and out of trades. I'm doing that with a small percentage of my money here. And obviously, for me, a lower price represents just a fantastic opportunity to win on the upside when it comes back. And I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't think Bitcoin will be multiples of its current price and Ethereum in the coming years. Certainly, also in the short term. So this is an interesting time, isn't it, Baloo? Where of note here, we're seeing Ethereum trading volumes actually surpassing Bitcoin in the last few weeks. Any thoughts around that? I mean, I actually find that quite fascinating.
Yeah, I think right now the charts in all assets really. They're kind of tit for tat charts. Bitcoin moves up, the other charts move up. The Bitcoin moves down, the other charts move down. The only variable there is just the percentage swings. So when you're completely correlated market wide from these large assets, I can effectively watch the Bitcoin chart, but place my trades on the Ethereum chart. Yep. So where Bitcoin gets 2 points, I get 4 points on Ethereum. So, you don't really even need to chart Ethereum, just chart Bitcoin and place the trades over there. That's kind of probably a speculation as to what is likely occurring just because the charts are so similar. And if we take a look at it from the sense of where Ethereum is against Bitcoin from a macro perspective, let me actually go to my Binance chart here, ETH BTC. On Binance. I've been charting this for a while, and it's starting to show an outperformance against Bitcoin. So there's a rotation of funds heading into Ethereum as Bitcoin remains stagnant or is potentially poised for a move up. And then while the market is very correlated candle to candle, you can make more money on your short-term trades by just trading Ethereum. So I think that's kind of what's going on here.
Yeah, I've actually been swing trading Ethereum more than Bitcoin over the last couple of weeks. And if you are an experienced trader, please use the link below to BYBIT. I do stress an experienced trader, but there's some for experienced traders. They're probably absolutely loving this action at the moment. I wouldn't say it's
volatility,
but volatility exactly.
Yeah, and an experienced trader who's trading short term, they don't care. They don't care if it's going up. They don't care if it's going down because you're just squeezing out those points here and there. If you're swinging a large balance around, 1 or 2 points here and there while you're waiting for the market to make up its mind is actually pretty profitable. And we have a few traders in my group who are taking that mentality. And that
Look,
approach.
I think it's a good, maybe a good sort of segue off these comments from us. We're talking about experienced traders, but the other people that like volatility, and this flies in the face of a lot of what you maybe have heard, is institutions. When an asset does have volatility, that ability to trade it, that trust me, that is central to a lot of their thinking. So. I do think we have a situation at the moment where, the narrative over the last 8 months, maybe slightly longer, has certainly been around this institutional investment in the Bitcoin, crypto space, but primarily Bitcoin. It is the Mavericks at the moment. We've got Elon Musk, Michael Saylor, etc. But there are significant investments from, the various hedge funds look, trust me, they are trading this. And, you know, the retail money coming in for them, I wouldn't call it shooting fish in a barrel, but, you know, I've been doing my best to sort of educate, you know, these new people coming into the space around, you know, over trading, understanding the fundamentals here. I do think, it will be a dangerous period for people that maybe are going off a little bit half-cocked. You're up against some, formidable foes here from a trading perspective, and be under no illusions. You know, a trade has to have a winner and a loser. Thoughts around that?
Yeah, I would call it shooting fish in a barrel. From an institutional standpoint, this market is really immature. And in the equities markets and, you know, traditional markets, there's so much volume that it's really hard to be on the right side of the trade, because you have, you know, bulls and bears in mass. So trying to pick the right side enough to pull out some points is really difficult to do. Whereas you come into this emerging asset class that's unregulated and doesn't have a lot of high frequency trading bot infrastructure. I mean, there is, but not like there is in traditional finance. Much less of a quant trading, institutional, like market making. It's just so much more primitive. And some would argue that it's more of a free market. I often make that correlation that crypto is much more of a free market. Now, that may sound all fine and dandy, but what comes with a free market is manipulation. So with this, with the ability to move the market, yes, it can be moved, yes, it can be manipulated, and yes, you could be on the wrong side of that. But I kind of like that we are existing in a free market, because we can actually, you know, if you're placing your trades appropriately and you're trading alongside of the institutions, you can be the recipient of good price action. And since we have so much asymmetry to the upside in this emerging asset class, it's exciting, regardless of how discouraging it can be at times when you are a recipient of the wrong side of manipulation. But nobody
let's stay on
held
manipulation
Bitcoin
for a moment, Baloo. Can you bring that Bitcoin
Sure.
chart back up for a moment?
Sure. I don't know which one, but
just the
I've got
USD. That's
I've got this one too. This represents the bull run thus far.
Yeah, so let's have a bit of a chat about around these sort of support levels, and where we need to break through to move to the upside. But one thing I just wanted to comment on, and all right, you know, this is, I don't want to use the word manipulation, but Elon Musk, I don't think there's anyone that's under any doubts here that his tweets clearly had a big effect on the market. That, along with the news out of China, which I guess the two are very interrelated. But arguably, Musk has, from many sources, $5 billion worth of BTC across SpaceX, Tesla, and his personal investments at an average price of $32K. Which I find quite interesting is the region in question here, if we're looking at this the support level. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is, look, I firmly believe that we will see an announcement around some green Bitcoin mining initiatives out of that camp in the very near future. And it literally is one tweet that took this market down. It can certainly shoot it back up in the other direction. I don't like that fact, but be ready for that, people. I think the fundamentals of Bitcoin from an institutional perspective just gets stronger by the day. The global macro picture continues to favor this asset. So, look, nothing has changed. We've had a lot of FUD. Were we overvalued? Did we go up too fast? These are interesting points, but I certainly don't think this is a scenario of a long crypto winter here at all. For me, this is a short-term game of, what is literally the cheapest I can, pick some more Bitcoin up. I'm certainly not moving out of the majority of my HODL position. But it would be interesting to hear your thoughts on if we do break that 32K support level there, what are we looking at next? Let's go over the horror scenarios first.
Yeah. Let's get everybody scared and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, if we break this area here, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're heading down to around 20K.
Yeah.
You're hearing that narrative around, there could be some sort of argument that maybe 25 to 24 to 23 holds, but honestly, with a breakdown here, there's not much holding us up until we get to 20K. 20K is going to be that big psychological level where we had the all-time high break. And we'll see how that level supports. And then if that doesn't hold, we're heading down to 12 to 14. But these are not levels that you can plan for. These are not levels that you can trade on, really. The most you could do is place a stink bid there and just see if it triggers. Yeah. But we're not there yet. We can't really, I'm not forming my strategy on front running that idea just yet, because currently we're holding support. When I get more clues and I get more information to tell me that we're weak, I'm plugged into the market. I'm paying attention. I know when I need to make a move and how I need to plan. I've made a plan for what to do if we head down, and I've made a plan for what the trade is going to look like if we head up. And that's what every new kind of investor in this market needs to understand. If you're trying to trade, you have to take into consideration both sides and have a plan for both sides, because there's a trade on both sides. You can make money on both sides. You just have to be ready, you have to be prepared, and you have to be willing to execute once your parameters have been met that say, okay, this is heading down, okay, this is heading up, let me execute the plan. So right now we're in a holding pattern. You have a lot of time to make that plan. Is it a possibility to head to 20K? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do I think we're ready to do that just yet? Not without a little bit of a swing high. There needs to be hope. There's no hope right now, or there's not enough hope. Hope needs to be crushed. The dreams need to be destroyed. That's just the way the market is. And it's brutal, and I shouldn't be laughing, but it's the way it is. Everybody's very scared. So stop losses are tight. They're not going to liquidate down to lower levels. You don't have, there's just not enough of a formula to add up to one of these liquidation events where you just have this cascading effect of liquidations, because there's just not enough open interest. So hope needs to return to break through this, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been a lot of commentary around how this market has behaved completely differently to, other Bitcoin cycles. I firmly believe if, we were looking at a long winter here, we would have had that dead cat bounce probably well before now. To me, it's quite difficult to compare it to other cycles in Bitcoin here. May represented, I would say, the biggest drop in Bitcoin on a monthly time frame ever. You could argue that happened once previously, but I think the amount of people that were actually in Bitcoin at that point to a certain degree invalidates that. I mean, that was a big dump. Did the fundamentals change? You could argue, a couple of ways there. I mean, look, China looking to restrict people's access to it. I mean, the OTC market in Asia has taken off from what I'm hearing. So, look, at the end of the day, we're talking about an uncensorable, unconfiscatable asset in Bitcoin. And I can assure you the amount of interest in those attributes out of wealthy people in China, that won't change on yet another announcement from the Chinese Communist Party around banning this thing. That trade continues. So look, the dust is settling here a wee bit. We touched on the fact before that we think Elon Musk will no doubt come out with a eco-friendly Bitcoin mining initiative in the very near future.
The stage is set. That's what he wants to do.
Yeah,
he is quite the showman for sure. and he's ready. He's ready to drop that bomb. I mean,
He's
that's
no
completely
dummy.
speculative. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
completely speculative, everyone, but I don't know. It's such an easy pass. It's such an easy target. Such a, I don't know. He
So,
set
Baloo,
it up. He's going to knock it down.
obviously we don't give financial advice here, but for me, the bulk of my holdings are in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, I would just go find something else to do if I didn't think that both of these assets will really shape our lives. Fast forward a year, 10 years, look, this is going to be integral to so much of what we do. But there is some real pain for people that have got caught in a lot of these altcoins. Now, I've been telling a lot of people there will be a decent bounce here, and maybe that is an opportunity to rethink your portfolio, how you've allocated to these different assets. Have you got any thoughts around what you're doing yourself on that front? I've got 3 or 4 that I would love to be out of. I wish I had got out of them earlier.
Yeah, I mean, there's an area of real interest for me, and it's right around this area right here. If I just move this down and draw a line here, if we bounce, we're gonna slow down around 45,000, and that'll be the kind of the potential bearish test, or the dead cat bounce, or whatever you want to call it. That's going to be the area of supply. Whether we work through it or not, that's going to be the area of supply where we really need to pay attention. So, I de-risked a lot of my portfolio back here at a similar structure. So I'm looking for a similar sort of, last point of supply to develop in that area. So if you do have some bags that you're no longer crazy about, then that would be a good opportunity for you to de-risk, take profits, maybe hedge if there is a derivatives available for that asset, depending on what you're doing and what kind of liquidity, how small the micro cap or how small the market cap is. You may have a derivative that you could cover that position short. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways, but for me, my exposure has kind of been consolidated. For the most part, I did cover and then made adjustments, but I've got some bags. That I would like to see recover. Serum was a large bag of mine that just took a hammering. There are some other alts that I'm also prepared to give another shot. Like I discussed on the show in previous weeks, Dash. Dash is in a volatile spot of its accumulation, so I don't think that Dash has really reached its price potential just yet. So I'm going to have to see what the market gives me. I'm going to have to see where this test goes.
Baloo, we're possibly going to be watching this video in a couple of months laughing about the exact conversation we're having now, because the reality is if we do get a major move to the upside, as everyone knows, the alts will absolutely take off again. There's a very, very big part of me that thinks that a bottom might be in, and we could head up quite dramatically in the very near future. You'll see the shilling of the altcoins back in full force from many of our wonderful YouTube channels out there, and all of this would have been a very short-lived bad dream. That's a very realistic possibility here in this market, people. But I just want to stress that, as someone that's been educating people on Bitcoin for 6 years now, this is a wonderful time. As I said at the top of the show, take that time to here. Bitcoin, I think, became, you brought this up numerous times. People just weren't putting money into Bitcoin. It was all about the speculation on the alts, the quick gains. So just while we're taking a breather here, please do that. Go away and understand what you're putting your money in and why. Because there is a very beautiful, much bigger picture here when you get your head around that, and it will make will make these big swings a hell of a lot more palatable for you, believe me.
Yeah. So here's the big picture on Bitcoin. You don't have to just imagine it. It's clear as day right here. We've got silver, gold, the housing market, S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the top performing asset since, well, on this chart, it goes back to 2013. It's the best performing asset that's ever existed.
Yep.
Period. End of story. That's it. And I think that we're just getting started. And that's the fucking crazy part about, where we're heading here is just, this is something special. Don't discount Bitcoin. Bitcoin is separate and behaves differently from the rest of the market for a reason. There's a reason the rest of the market follows Bitcoin, and there's a reason that Bitcoin doesn't follow the rest of the market. It's separate. It does its own thing because it is its own thing. And there's opportunity there.
Look, absolutely. I mean, basically, since 2008, we have effectively had a devaluation in fiat currency of around 15% a year. So this is where you've seen, this narrative from, the Michael Saylors of the world, the Mavericks, the ones that have, publicly come forward here and said, look, we're putting part of our corporate treasury into this asset. Obviously, we've got Mark Cuban. Another one is, I'm not sure of the guy's name, but Mr. Wonderful, the other guy that's on the Shark Tank with Mark Cuban. He's come out in the last few days and spoken about putting 3% of all his company's corporate treasuries into DeFi. So, we're seeing some real evolution. So Bitcoin has obviously been that first cab off the rank for institutions, but a lot of the bigger players, the pension funds, albeit, my country's pension fund has 5% allocated to crypto. Absolutely love that fact. But for a lot of the really big institutional players, they have stayed away from Bitcoin because it hasn't been a yield bearing asset. That's all changed now. So, we're seeing these volumes in Ethereum creeping up. Mr. Wonderful's talking about taking his Bitcoin, wrapping it, putting it into DeFi, and getting that yield. We're going to see more of this. As I say, it's the Mavericks. It's those people who are, the hardcore entrepreneurs, those sort of billionaires, the Mark Cubans, the Michael Saylors, the Mr. Wonderfuls. They're in. The more traditional, slower moving players are still going through the compliance, the regulatory issues. They're on the way. So sometimes I think we get a little bit, over enthusiastic. Oh, the institutions are here. I don't think they're here en masse, but they're gearing up. So big picture, people. I just want to reiterate, for me, Bitcoin is much more about that uncensorable, unconfiscatable attributes. But yes, if we're talking about price appreciation, of course, that's going to be driven by those institutional anti-inflation plays. So don't stress out as where I'm going with all of this. If you have bought at much higher levels than where we're currently at, I hope you did it with money you can afford to just hang on to. Because look, we will be back.
Long time parameters. If you bought Bitcoin at any point in the last 5 years, anywhere, all-time high, doesn't matter. If you bought it at any point and held it for 5 years, which for an investment is not a long time, really. Like, you shouldn't be having everything on a short time parameter.
Great point.
It's gone up, and it's paid more often than not a high yield. It's given you a good return on that investment. So you can really get caught up in the inertia of these large moves where a lot of the new participants finally break down and enter, and then we retrace from that level, and you ask yourself, what have you done? Well, what you've done is you've begun participation in a very volatile asset class, and you got to take the gains with the losses because its volatility goes both ways. But as you can see clearly by the chart here, it goes up over time in impulse waves. And yes, it can be uncomfortable at times, but just have long-term time parameters. And yeah, you
zoom out. I mean, look, that
yeah.
says it all, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and it shows to me a free market. Look at how linear everything is. Look at how controlled. Look at how many market participants are willing to be short, and look at how many market participants are willing to be long in the other asset classes. There's so many buyers and sellers. It doesn't move. It moves, but it moves slowly into the upside. Yep. If you want to be in an emerging asset class where people don't know what's going on and they can't understand it, but they will be forced to one day, it's Bitcoin. Nobody gets it. Nobody gets it. Spend the time, understand it. I highly recommend to your viewers, go and read the Bitcoin Standard. It's a fantastic book. You should really kind of get that fundamental understanding of what money is, because half of the book is just about that. It's just what is money, and you'll realize how messed up our system is and how it is so faith-based. And the US dollar derives its value off of violence and bullets, and how that's not money. Bitcoin is money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Bitcoin Standard, Saifedean Ammous, somebody I'm a massive fan of. You're dead right. It's a great book to read, and I couldn't agree more. Look, fiat money is political money, and so much of it is allocated in the wrong places. Now, I don't want to necessarily give the hardcore argument about fiat's bad, it's all spent on military bombs, etc. Even though I do believe that to be the case in so many scenarios. But why the hell wouldn't you also want a form of value transfer that is stateless? It's the first time in human history we've got this, and that's the really exciting thing for me with Bitcoin. Ethereum is a different animal. There are people that will talk in terms of, okay, it will also play that role as a store of value now, that when it goes to proof of stake, anti-inflationary asset also. Maybe. Let's see. But look, Bitcoin here is, our chance for self-sovereignty. It really is an opportunity to completely be in control of your values. Now, as I say, I don't want to shit all over, fiat currency, what we're all used to, all our countries' local currencies. But, now's your time to understand what is going on, people. We're in unprecedented territory now with this money printing. We really are. Do not underestimate that. Don't have your head in the sand. Figure out what percentage of your net worth you should be allocating to this space. That's a personal decision for you. For me, it's 100%. Okay, that's probably a little extreme for most people, and I wouldn't advise that, but I'm in crypto. That's what I do. But, big chance here. I don't think we'll see these price levels for possibly ever again. So, yes, they might go down a bit lower here in the short term, but what a wonderful opportunity. I know many of you have been sort of sitting there watching this thing skyrocket over 6 months going, God damn it, I missed it. Well,
yeah,
here you go.
Yeah.
What are you?
Yeah, I agree.
What are you hearing from especially people that are new to the space, Baloo? What's the overriding emotion you're picking up from people?
Well, for me, running a traders academy, like cryptocurrency trading group, a lot of what I'm getting is just how can I notice this happening as it's, how could I have prevented me being blind from seeing this? Because hindsight is 2020. It's very clear to see, we got the lower low, we got the lower high, we broke down from there. So a lot of people just trying to learn from their mistake and just understand where they went wrong. And what I'm seeing is a lot of people calling for lower levels, and I see a lot of people calling for a turnaround. So sentiment-wise, it's a mixed bag, man. It's a mixed bag, and we'll have to see what occurs. Typically speaking, when these shakeout events occur, there's always going to be a crowd that will call for lower levels. Like right now, there's a crowd calling for 20K. If we hit 20K, that same crowd will be calling for 14. If we hit 14, that same crowd will be calling for 10. The point I'm trying to make here is you're always going to hear that noise of people calling for lower levels, and it's up to you to make your own decisions and decide for yourself. Does this look like support? Do I think we're going to get a turnaround? Because ultimately, it's really up to you. If you're ever going to be successful in this market, you have to take your own trading tips. And that's the psychology. That's the mental game of the market. Is bring in the data, listen to the noise, but take that noise and make your own decision. Not a decision based on consensus, not a decision based on narrative. Look at the charts, look at the data, make a judgment on sentiment, and then make your own decision. And on that note of sentiment, I did have somebody in the YouTube comments tell me that Bitcoin is old, slow, and will go to zero. So that's typically a good sign. I think we're going to turn around from here. That's usually the point at which it pumps.
Well, in some ways, you look, I can agree with some of those comments there. Bitcoin is old compared to the other cryptos. It is slow. And what was the other one? Boring? What did they say?
Oh, going to zero. That it will be obsolete.
Go to zero. Okay. That I strongly disagree with. Look, but Bitcoin being old and slow is kind of the point. It's a blockchain that does what it does, and it does it well. It's highly secure. It's never been hacked. We're at a point where that digital gold play, I think, is firmly entrenched now. That anti-inflationary asset for institutions. I think we're going to see massive price appreciation in this thing. Then we've got all the other exciting things happening in the space, primarily on Ethereum. So for me,
we did just get Taproot. We have Taproot.
Well,
so now
this is well,
it's
and
programmable.
We've got an IndyCar racing team.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, I'm not well versed in the Taproot upgrade, but it was a hard fork, but a clean hard fork. There was no split of the chain.
Yeah, I don't think it has been implemented yet, but the majority of miners have signaled for it. Effectively, what Taproot is, it's building in some privacy features to Bitcoin.
I thought it's a little bit more than that. I think, weren't they? It just makes it a little bit more programmable on the Lightning Network second layer solution side. Isn't it something to do with that? Okay. Yeah.
So,
and that's being developed.
Schnorr signatures and Taproot, I think, are looking to come in at the same time. So the Schnorr signatures are probably more sort of the privacy feature. But the interesting thing about it is this will be the first change to the Bitcoin protocol since 2017 when we had SegWit. So it is actually quite a big moment. I don't think you're not going to see dramatically different features to your use of Bitcoin, far from it. But it is quite interesting to see how the different parties are coming together to implement this change to a protocol that hasn't changed in a number of years now. So that for me has been the fascinating thing. I think in the future we will potentially see some dissent from some parts of the Bitcoin community around these privacy issues. Many actually want much stronger privacy issues, but ultimately, there are other. This is the beauty of blockchain. You can hard fork something. You can add new features to your version of that coin, and we've already seen that with Bitcoin. Whether if you like these other incarnations of Bitcoin or not, but they do exist. So moving forward here, some of the privacy coin space, that's also definitely something I'm keeping an eye on, because we will. We've had this 50% drop now based on some rhetoric out of China and primarily Elon Musk's tweets. But be under no illusions, people. There's more of this coming. Absolutely more of this coming. We've had the Irish Central Bank turn around this week and voice its concerns around cryptocurrency. We've had that from the Bank of England before, also the Bank of Japan in recent history. It is a threat to these people. You know, who did the central bankers serve? In my opinion, but you know, I think their interests are really around the elite. So look, here's your chance to own some stateless money. I think that's fantastic for the whole world to actually have access to you know, the ability to move value around without friction amongst each other, where you don't have a politician dictating what is going to happen to that particular unit of value. So I'm not saying you should be in it 100%, but why the hell wouldn't you have some? That's a very, very beautiful thing. And you please understand that concept. It's so important. Yeah. You know, if the price of the asset is going to move around on you dramatically, you know, once you've understood why you've actually got it, you know, if you're running in here and wanting a quick gain on a shitcoin, you've probably been burnt. If you've done that in the last couple of months, you may have to wait a long time to recover that. Possibly not. You might be okay in the very near future, but it will happen again. So take this as your chance to learn. Get your head around that narrative. Baloo, any final comments on that topic?
I think you've said everything that you know, we really needed to say here. It's just these are the bumps in the road, you know, and we're sitting on support. You know, there's no, you know, we're gonna have to see what happens. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So do you think we're going to break that support? What's your overriding sort of feeling on that?
My overriding feeling is that this support holds, and I feel that we will kind of get some sort of move up. Only because of the fact that, you know, even in a downtrend, you have swing highs and you have swing lows.
Yeah.
So, you know, we swung low, we swung high, we're on a swing low. I don't think this is a swing high. I think we're going to have to turn around here and get our swing high at least. We need just a little bit of a swing high, because what the swing high does is it just reloads all of the factors that play into the next swing low. So even if this is a downtrend, I do think that there's going to be some relief where you are going to have to control your emotion again, be realistic, be objective, and really look at the charts and make some hard decisions on how you want to kind of play the next swing high if we do indeed get a swing high.
Yep.
If we fail from here, we fail from here. And, you know, we're going to see, but honestly, I think if we break down, we're going to be just retesting something around the 30. I don't think we have enough juice in the tank to really get something substantial, but that's the thing, you know, you need to be prepared for the unexpected. So do have a plan in place for any outcome, have some sort of, even if the plan is just to be mentally prepared for one outcome, that's, you know, enough sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that this is a swing low, and I'm looking to see some sort of swing high off of it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, let's wrap up shortly here, but maybe on a more positive note, upside moves. Could we have a one more quick look at the Bitcoin chart there? If people are looking for an entry on a confirmed break to the upside, what sort of numbers would you suggest on that front?
Yeah, so I'll just move this up, and this would be basically the area of the swing high, somewhere in this kind of general area between 46,000 to 44,000. If I zoom down into this area of the consolidate, oh, I don't have my chart. Okay. So I don't even know if I was talking about the swing highs or anything. Yeah, so, you know, this is kind of the area that I'm looking for. So this was the distribution trading range. We're trading below that right now. If this consolidation does kind of resolve to the upside, we're kind of looking at this tentative trading range right here. So if we can get a breakout of this, you don't have much room before you need to be making decisions again.
Yeah.
So as far as new positions, you're going to have to wait and see. And I think the new positions would be better off being taken at the lower end of the range to try and get that, 30% move to the upside. If you traded on a confirmation, you'd be looking at, much less of a move, right at around, well, about half the distance of the move before you'd be making any real decisions. So, from in terms of those who are kind of holding bags right now, this would be general area of, making those relief decisions. And if you are going to trade it, the more risky play, you'd be looking to bounce off of support here. So I think we'll probably get a few more tests of the lower area at around 32,000, 30,000 before reversing to the upside. But yeah, it's not a pleasant trading environment. So new positions are difficult.
Yeah, it's choppy. I mean, it really depends on what sort of trader you are at this point, I suppose, as well. But for the newbies, I think there's a great prices to be entering at, people. For the experienced traders, there's volatility. So something here for everybody. But ultimately take the time to understand, what these assets are all about, people. Like I think everyone comes into this space looking to make a quick buck. The ones that stay are the ones that actually get fascinated by what is going on here. I mean, this really is a revolution on so many fronts. So I hope you become one of those people. I'm certainly one of them. So is Baloo. So, take the time, people. Understand what is going on here, big picture. Baloo, thank you so much for your time, sir. I would strongly encourage anyone watching this to go and check out Baloo's channel. He puts out live shows on the regular, and also has a wonderful group with the other people that have been on this channel. Matt, who was on earlier this week, and Leanne. There's no better time to be part of a group to share your thoughts, your emotions with other people that have experience. So I strongly encourage you all to go check out Baloo's YouTube channel and the Crypto Jungle group. Good people. Baloo, thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Okay, and thank you for watching.